In this video, I'm going to talk about how I was able to purchase 9 properties by the age of 24. So I started my real estate journey at age 19 and I became obsessed with the idea of passive income. I picked up a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and in the book he spoke about passive income. And I thought to myself, wow, you could actually make money in your sleep and have freedom to do the things that you want to do instead of working at a 9-to-5 boring job. That right there just sparked my interest so much. I said, I'm gonna do this, and I jumped in. So at 19, I got my real estate license for that reason. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna learn this business. I'm going to learn how to evaluate properties and what they're worth, so this way any deal that I find and I can now identify, wow, hey, this is a deal because I'm familiar with the market, I'm gonna go ahead and buy. So at the age of 19 is when I started buying properties, and I'm going to share the strategy that I used to build my rental portfolio. These 9 properties are all multi-family properties, which means there's more than one apartment in each property. The 9 properties across all of them are 44 rental apartment units. So with that being said, let's jump right in. The first thing I did was become familiar with the market. Once I was familiar with the market, I was able to identify an opportunity. Now, once I identified that opportunity, I looked for ways of how I could obtain that property, whether it was through creative financing or just the traditional route with a bank. My first property I bought for $215,000, and at the time it was probably worth somewhere around the low 300s. So what I was able to do was I was able to identify the fact that this was a deal. This property was actually on auction, and I knew that $215,000 was a very, very good price because I knew and I had studied that market, and I knew for a fact this property was worth $300,000. With that being said, I went ahead and bought the property at $215,000. Since I was a first-time home buyer, I went the traditional route and I used a 3% down loan, a first-time home buyer program that was in at the time. Not sure if it still exists. It was a normal conventional 3% down loan, and I was able to purchase that property. Now, 3% of 215, it's somewhere around between $6,000 to $7,000. I don't have a calculator in front of me right now. And then aside from the $6,000 to $7,000 in down payment, I also needed closing cost money, which is basically bank fees, appraisal fees, attorney fees, New York State tax fees, title fees, etc., which amount to approximately 5% of the purchase price. So in this case, 5% of 215, let's just round it off to somewhere between $10,000, $12,000. So figure $6,000 and $10,000. $16,000 is what I needed to purchase that first property. With the $16,000, I was able to get in and purchase the property. Now, this property didn't need work, so what I did was I invested an additional $30,000 to fix the property up. So now I'm all in somewhere around $46,000, call it an even $50,000 cash into this property. So after the down payment, let's just say I owed somewhere around $208,000. Is that right? $208,000 is what I owed the bank, and I had $50,000 deployed into the property. So my cash invested was $50,000. Now what I did after I fixed the property up a little bit, the property had now grown in value because of the work I had done to it. So when I bought the property for $215,000, I don't remember what it appraised for, but let's just say it was $300,000. I went to the bank and I said, hey bank, I just fixed the house up a little bit. What I want to do is I want to refinance the property, which is basically get a new loan after I've made the improvements. So I was able to do that with the bank, and this time around, it hadn't even been 7, 8 months. I'd probably say somewhere around 6 months went by. The property had appraised for $390,000. With that being said, I was able to pull out almost $100,000 out of that property, which means I got my $50,000 back and I have now an extra $50,000 that I could work with. My mortgage on that property after I refinanced it was somewhere around $2,100, and that property right now rents out for a gross rent of somewhere, I believe it's $4,500. This strategy is what enabled me to repeat the process and just buy multiple properties every year. So I took that $100,000, mind you, this property is now making me anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 after all the expenses, paying my mortgage, utilities, landscaping, etc. So I have this property that gave me $50,000 plus I got my money back, so now I have $100,000. It's making me money every month and I still own it while the tenant's paying my mortgage down, and I'm still gaining more equity. Anyways, I took the $100,000 and I went and I bought another property and did the same exact thing. The next property I bought was for $250,000. So I put on this one, I did put 20% down, which on 250 is $50,000 plus the closing costs, 5%. I don't know what that is. I'm pretty tired right now. I'd say it's somewhere around, wow, I had a brain fart there, but let's just call it 15,000, right? You know what? I got my phone right here. I'm gonna cheat. Okay, 12,500. So I needed $62,500. I had the 100,000, so I deployed 62.5. I did the same exact thing. I fixed it up a little bit. I rented. Actually, I bought that property with the tenants in there already. So it was never empty. I just left the tenants in there while I upgraded it. I did the kitchen, I did some floors. I probably invested another $15,000 in that property. So 62.5 plus 15 is, let's just call it $80,000. So I used $80,000, and now when I went back to the bank, I said, hey, I want to get another loan out. And so that time around, the property appraised for $400,000. I pulled all my money out. This time around, I pulled out, I think when I did the cash out, they call it a cash out refinance, I pulled out somewhere around $60,000 if I remember correctly. So I did leave some money in. I didn't want to take it all out because I had extra cash from the first deal, and now I had an extra 60, so I had probably around $80,000 to go and do it again. So I repeated this process for every single property, and this is the strategy I used to scale and buy 9 properties within 5 years. So what this has done for me, it's created financial freedom for my family and I. The passive income that we make now from these properties is able to carry us through. It's able to pay our bills, and I couldn't be more grateful for it. So hopefully this short video gives you an idea of how you could do the same for your family. It's very easy. I started with $16,000 in the first property. Yeah, I did need an additional $30,000 to fix it up. I mean, $46,000, $50,000 is not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. If you don't have the full $50,000, there are ways around it. You could borrow money from your family members. You could save $50,000 very easily by getting side hustles. Whether you do Uber on the side or deliver food or start a side business, photography business, whatever business, except for selling drugs. And once you save enough money to be able to do this, jump right in, start your real estate investing portfolio, and drop a comment. Please subscribe if you got value out of this video. If you'd like me to go into more detail on every specific property, the stories of how I was able to get the deals, buy the deals, what the numbers look like, make sure to comment down below so I can make a video. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.